Hello, and welcome to a scenario where France forms an empire in the modern day. Without any further ado, let's get on with the video, shall we? Now, the first thing France will be doing is invading 3 countries at once. Now, you may be wondering, wait, a 3v1? That's probably not fair on France. First off, they're buffed. Second off, it's Monaco, Andorra, and Luxembourg. Yeah, so France just basically cleaned up everybody on its borders. On their borders. Anyway, the first sort of prospect of war, a bit of a difficult war, is happening when they invade into Belgium. Now you may be wondering, why would France ever do this? Like, why would they invade little poor Belgium over here? They're defenseless. Well, it's all gonna come over to this little line here, which kind of divides the language of the country into 3. The north of the country is Wallonia, primarily speaking Dutch. In the south, we have Flanders, which primarily speaks French. And then here we have a little bit of German, but that used to be part of the historic German Empire before World War II. And after World War II, Germany was forced to cede over this land, or what approximately would be the shape, I got it so wrong, over to Belgium after World War I for compensation. So yeah, a little bit of history lesson for you, and kind of not justifying, but certainly saying this war. But anyway, France will begin to march their forces into Belgium. Now, they're part of one of the lowland countries, which means they have pretty low land. Not like Switzerland, where it's like this. It's more like maybe a few hills here and there. Nothing like the Netherlands, which is like all artificial. A little bit of them. Sorry, Netherlands. Anyway, sorry to diss on you once again. But anyway, they invade in the south from Wallonia. Flanders, and eventually capture Brussels. But this is not until a third party gets into this war. The Netherlands. Oh, so you did join the party. They'll take over primarily the Dutch-speaking regions in Wallonia. Like I said before. They'll work in a sort of coordinated thing because, to be honest, Belgium, after the Treaty of Vienna in 1815, after the Napoleonic Wars, was basically just there to be like a little road bump, be a little buffer state of like stuff. Kind of like how in real life, Eastern Europe, like all these Eastern Europe, former USSR states, kind of acted as a buffer between Russia and the rest of Europe in real life. So yeah, more history lesson for you. I am explaining a lot. Anyway, they managed to capture all the country. A bit of skirmishes happening here and there on their occupation zones, but rather it's just really little skirmishes, no like big battles or anything. So we can finally take a look at this peace treaty. And it is here in this peace treaty where we see France and Netherlands splitting Belgium into 2. We see the north half go to the Netherlands and the south part going to France, with this going like blah blah. And let me just fix this real quick. But anyway, France is becoming to be a bit bigger now. And you know what bigger means? Expansion. And they'll actually do something quite weird. They'll go to war with Suriname. Now, but you may be wondering, how would they even get to Suriname? They're in Europe. France is in Europe, they're in South America. Bet you didn't see that coming. But I mean, if you did, you're a pretty average, or pretty avid geographer. Good job. And cartographer. So after a few months, France starts launching their troops into Suriname. They're quite weak and dies. They're quite weak. I think they're a third world country. If not, definitely not first, but I'm not going to say second world, but that's communist. During the Cold War, they developed those terms. Then, Suriname's dead. And now we can take a look at this peace treaty. And it is here that we see full annexation. What would you expect? So yeah, Suriname just gets added into this big Guyana. Big Guyana. But missing actual Guyana. Anguille Guyana. Anyway, zooming back to Europe, we see France invading another country to make their borders a bit nice and not shaped like a nose. I mean, you can kind of see it. Like eye, nose, mouth, chin, arms sticking out, pointing. I mean, you can kind of see it. But anyway, they'll be invading Switzerland. Now, I saw a recent comment, one of my other videos, says, kind of criticizing me, but don't worry, if you're that person, don't worry, I'm not going to be criticizing you. But in the north, I did my research that it's not really that hilly. And plus, France did defeat Switzerland before, so yeah, why not? Anyway, they move their forces in through the west, and, capture Bern. It's over here somewhere in one of the cantons. Yes, that's what they use to divide up their country, not counties and states. Do not judge them, they are the most neutral country ever since 1815. Anyway, they do invade. It's going to prove some difficulty to them, but of course, this country's buffed, so France is buffed, so yeah. Anyway, now we can get to take a look at the peace treaty. Woohoo! Full annexation of Switzerland, yippee! I'm going mad. Anyway, France will now take it on themselves and actually go more colonial. But this time more close to home with another one of colonies that they used to have in the past. And actually the colony that, the modern day colony that actually used to be part of France ever since the late 1960s. Fun trivia. Anyway, they'll be invading Algeria. Yeah. And it is here that they'll also gain another ally. I forgot to call it Netherlands, I'm sorry. Morocco, hello. You've been an ally to nearly almost every empire country that I've done. For some reason, they always befriending you since Spain is in it, and you hate Spain. Politically, I guess, because of those little forts that Spain has. But these won't be official ally, they'll now actually be coloured in a different country because they are just taking advantage of this. They do not want France in the war. At all. Anyway, France will make the first move. Oh, wait. There we are. They'll invade in the north, making a few naval landings. Now, let me just say, alliances don't exist, so the Arab League won't really get involved. Morocco is in the Arab League, so kind of would make sense if they did it, you know what I mean. But anyway, Algeria gets captured, and for a good reason, let me just... For a good reason, they just invade Tunisia as well, for good measure, I guess, but they do that. Filling the country, going more colonial. As for Morocco, they are doing pretty well for themselves, albeit being pretty much pushed back a little. In the north, Algeria sees minor pushbacks, managing to make a naval landing. They're very much though, because Algeria, I don't want to say they're weak, they're actually pretty strong, I think, one of the strongest African nations, in my opinion, But, France simply outranks them in every way. Hooray! They'll capture the coast, and they'll even go into Morocco too, since they're basically going on a free Arab spree. Free Maghreb spree, if you know what I mean. They used to own all these countries for a bit of Morocco. But it is here where, Morocco vows to surrender, when Algeria is basically a shell of its former self, and it's basically just down to the Berber people. And now, we can now take a look at the peace treaty that France uses to manage to, make a little thingy in the Mediterranean. They can make a thingy in the Mediterranean now. It is here we see France gaining a couple territories in Africa, fully annexing Tunisia and bits of Algeria, including a little bit of Morocco. Now, France will be starting its biggest and probably either penultimate or final sort of thing, which that means there's really nothing we can do with this one, mate. There's nothing we can do, France, except for doing the big battle that I'll do at the end of the video. Look, right now, the countries that will be involved in it are France invading. Wow. Italy. I think that was obvious. Spain. And Germany. Basically, they're three strongest neighbours. But they have the Netherlands. But they do not have Morocco. They just have themselves and the Dutch. Against the world. Lest we forget they are buffed. So, a bit more of a fair fight, so yeah. Anyway, let's get on with the final battle of the series, or not on the series, definitely not, of this Empire episode. Okay, so now we can finally take a look at the final war in this scenario. Okay, so the first front which will open up is in Spain, especially in Catalonia and Basque region, where Sabotage regions are there. But France promised them autonomy within the country, and they're okay, we'll take it. Also, they can cross the Pyrenees, mainly because they border it. Don't know what else you would expect. But they continue down the Spanish coast, taking over Balearics, and, just going around. Going to Galicia as well. Probably won't take them over directly, but who knows. They go over from their colony in Morocco, Algeria, and got from there. They are using troops in Suriname and Guyana. But that's it for the Spanish front for now. For Italy, it's kind of different. They, chill. It's kind of harder because, they're pushing through the Alps, but they managed to get to Sardinia and are planning an invasion into, the west of Italy via Corsica. But those dreams will be quickly revolted as stuff is going on. Italy literally booted France out of Sardinia and Corsica. Get it, because they're a boot. That isn't all success for Italy, though. They go into Tunisia and invade from there. Meanwhile, in Germany, the Netherlands trying their best. I really am saying trying because, yes. Because after they make very good pushbacks, Germany goes in and nearly pushes all their forces out. Sad day for Netherlands, but what would you expect? Germany's one of the strongest in Europe. But they managed to push back. And yeah, it recently just becomes this big back and forth, kind of averaging around the Rhineland plateau borders. It's actually what France wants out of this. But eventually it'll stalemate over here, near Hamburg, and then France will just just leave Netherlands to it. Unless they're in some dire need. Diomedes. Very cool. They take over the whole of the north of Italy, managing to push them out of Corsica, like I said. In Tunisia, they managed to get some troops in there and push them out. They just say France is still buffed, so I doubt there is nothing they can do. There's something they can do, and they can do that. Yeah. They're using like the Swiss Alps to their advantage against Italy. They capture Venice, go down into here, capture Rome, but Italy takes back. They go the other side, but Italy takes that back. They go in the middle, and that actually is good. Kind of cutting Italy into two with that one. They even go into like here. I doubt the Maginot Line still exists. Does it still exist again? I know I asked this in my Germany video, just asking, like, does it still exist? Does one of you, is there one of you watching this video who knows it exists? Anyway, they advance into the Saarland, meet up with the Dutch, and eventually German forces are put on retreat. Keep in mind, France is able to do this because they're buffed. Like, God gave them steroids, and they're using that to their advantage. Anyway, the Netherlands capture a bit of Hamburg, until, like, Germany pushes them back. No, that's Saxony. Like, this is Saxony, the city's Hamburg. When I say town, I'm stupid. But anyway, they kind of make a spearhead, but that goes well. But it doesn't go well. They need to leave it up to the French. Like, Netherlands, this is like the only way it's gone good for you, and yet you're still failing. But anyway, Italy does do the same thing. Like, but yeah, Rome's captured. So much for being the soft underbelly of Europe. Italy, and they surrender. Keep in mind, France is still buffed. Don't know how many times they're going to say that in this single scene. But, yeah, they do that. The next big target is Spain, because, you know, yeah. Anyway, they kind of fully encircle it. They ask Portugal if they want to jump around. They're like, no. You know what it's like the first time we jump. Wait, do they join France? I am getting my things mixed up. No, they joined the British. The French from Spain seized Portugal during the Napoleonic Wars, and Britain came out and helped Portugal out. So if Portugal came over to help France, Britain may come into the Germany and Spain, which would cause a whole other caboodle of nonsense, which I'm not getting into because this video is probably going to be too long anyways. Anyway, the Rhineland, it will be put under threat because it's a plateau. It's called the Rhineland Plateau for a reason, you know. But anyway, Spain is kind of put under heavy jurisdiction. Like, even some French people, like, I do think French people live in Spain. Mainly Spanish people live in Spain, but maybe French people live in Spain, I don't know. Like, Romance languages, but, you know, prove me wrong, sorry if I'm being rude. But some people are actually in favour of the French and managed to do this. And so they call for Spain's surrender, in which they do. Hooray. This land basically just says they surrendered early. Oh, hold on. Am I just colour them like a paler blue? Oh, that looks bad, but also looks good in the same place. Like, they surrender early. That actually seems quite good. Like, tell me in the comments if you think I should keep that, or like a grey colour like this, for like surrendered countries who aren't fully occupied. Like, tell me in the comments if you want to keep that. But they doobity-doo. And for Germany, there is really nothing we can do. But, you know, they split off, Bavaria's captured. This is heavily unrealistic, I know. France is buffed. This is like the strength of Napoleonic France multiplied by the strength of now France, which is going to be big France. And so Germany, without kind of like any sort of thing, they surrender. Because, like, you know, I don't think they really want to go to war with an empire that kind of take over like half its territory. But anyway, we can now take a look at the final peace treaty of this video, which will be ending the video and the French Empire. Well, not ending the French Empire, just like concluding their expansion. Okay, so in this peace treaty, we see France be big. They expand a lot into Spain with giving autonomous regions to Catalonia and the Basque region, maybe including the French Basque peoples. Oh no. But you get what I mean. But they annex a bit from Italy and turn a bit into puppet of Genoa. Rest of Italy stays intact. The Rhineland Plateau is, you know, created as a puppet. That's actually kind of what France wanted. They wanted a puppet in the Rhineland after World War I. Like a UN zone or like a League of Nations zone. But they also annexed the Saarland, and the Dutch gained like squat out of this. Like, what would you expect? You're a smaller power out of you and France, out of the two. So yeah. Anyway, that's basically it. Apart from they get Gibraltar and southern Spain. Well, don't know if they'll get Gibraltar. They'll just get southern Spain, a little bit of Spain. But anyway, that will actually conclude it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed watching. Comment the ideas for new countries or like more countries I can do in the comments. And thank you for watching and goodbye. See you in the next one.